Hello, I'm Alan Davies. This is As Yet Untitled. This is the show with no real agenda or topics or questions or any sort of preparation or a name even. We will try and come up with a name during the course of our conversation, but for that I need four very talented and amusing people, so please will you welcome our guests. Welcome, all of you. Hi. Good to see you. Hello. How are you enjoying our intimate furniture?
Right.
We have Pippa Evans here. Pippa Evans, who is a brilliant babysitter. Pippa Evans is here. Phill Jupitus, welcome Phill. Phill Jupitus, who is great at faking it. Phill Jupitus here. Carl Donnelly, welcome to Carl Donnelly. Carl Donnelly, who has puffy nipples and gleeks. And Stuart Maconie. Stuart Maconie, welcome to Stuart, who has taken journalism to a new level. It's lovely to have you here, Stuart. I must say, well, before we start, how much I enjoy your radio programme with Mark Radcliffe.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Your other one.
Yeah, the other guy. He's a nice guy.
It's a brilliant radio programme. It's brilliant.
Thank
Have
you.
you abandoned him today?
No, he's fine. He's been doing this man and boy. He can look after himself.
He can. I used to do the radio, but 20 years ago, and we were live on Radio 1, and Mark used to follow us. He did a brilliant show, but there's three playlists, of the A-list, the B-list, and the N-list, right? And the N-list...
just the wrong foot.
Yeah.
That was all Snoop Dogg records.
Yeah. No, it was the night list.
Oh.
Ooh, when it gets dark, you play
Yeah.
different records that are inappropriate for people in the day. And so we didn't know what to play. We didn't know anything about music, you know. And we knew we'd got it right one week when we started to get a call from Mark's producer saying, "What are you playing?" Because it was getting on their nerves, because we were choosing like your Blur or your Oasis or your Popular Beat combos.
Yeah.
The first radio I ever did when I was a writer for NME, and I got sent along to Mark Goodyear's evening session. Wow. And there was a guy standing in for him, and it was just after Bob Dylan had his 30th anniversary in show business concert. And the standing presenter was there with me, and he said, so what's in the news this week, Stuart? In that old school kind of way. You know, that they said Smashy and Nicey is the only satire that's ever worked. Because DJs now no longer go, I've gone to the farm for the weekend with my young friend, because they can't do that anymore, you know. And I sat down and he said, so what's in the news? I said, Bob Dylan, 30th anniversary in show business concert. And the presenter said, sounds great. What a pity himself, Bob, didn't live to see it. So I thought, radio's different. Maybe the world of radio's different. So I sat there and I thought, should I say something? I thought, I've got to say something. And I said, Bob Dylan's alive. And the guy went, oh, yeah, shit, sorry. Can we go again? And I thought, I'm pretty sure we're on the radio now. And we were. and I just thought, oh, it's easier than I thought.
Just don't say anyone's dead unless you're
pretty
you've
sure.
seen the body.
Yeah.
So I did radio. The thing I was always worried about is because coming from stand-up and then going into radio, I was always terrified of swearing.
Yeah.
Because I'm from Essex, I use the F word like a comma. It just
Like
helps
a
you
fucking comma.
Look, for one bit of we can, thank you. I've been green-lighted by Davies now, I can crack right the fuck into it. So...
No, don't go back.
All right, let's not go nuts.
You got four more.
But there were... So we booked Kevin Smith, the film director who did Dogma and Clerks. Silent Bob.
Clerks.
Him.
Brilliant film.
He did that, but he's a little bit with the effing and jeffing as well, and so we had to really kind of go, look, Kevin, I know we've heard your podcasts and we've seen you live, and we know that you mustn't. I mustn't curse, okay, dude. I won't curse, okay. And so, but we were really nervous. It was just because he was getting relaxed and having a laugh, and we thought it'd fall out, and we were live, and we just went through this interview, and we had him in for an hour, and so it was a very
Six Music.
This is at Six Music here on the Breakfast Show. It was a very tense hour, and then and then we got to the end of it, and I'd like to thank our guest Kevin Smith for coming in today. And Kevin, it's been really great having you here, mate. Thank you so much. And he went, no, dude, this has been a really, really good show. Thank you for having me on. I went, mate, it's been a fucking pleasure. But the thing is about the Six Music is I think there were about 8 people listening. All of them were just laughing.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
It was before digital
you were
radios.
right at the beginning of it, weren't you?
Yeah.
When no one even really had the DAB radios.
I'd play records sometimes, and then like the computer would go ding, and we'd have like a text come from someone, and they'd go, "This record's a bit strong, lads," and then we'd put our headphones on, and I'd be playing some old school reggae record that would be going, and then I fuck up on the floor, and then I'm like.
Do you swear a lot, Pippa? When I've seen you do your wonderful shows in Edinburgh, and there's not too blue in there.
No, I'm not a big swearer.
You're not shy of an innuendo, though, are you?
Oh no, I don't mind a cocking innuendo. But my mum used to say, "You can say that in the playground, but not in my house." So we didn't swear.
Show us your knickers.
We didn't swear. We didn't swear a lot. But I do, and I've never been a radio DJ, but I did used to make a lot of tapes for my dad in the car, which is pretty much the same thing. And in our Polo, VW Polo, little car we have, it's only got a cassette player, so I now have all the tapes that I made for my dad. And I suffered a lot from the... I've put a lot of songs on here, and then there's a lot of space, which I then fill with me going... Hi, Dad. That Beatles song wasn't as long as I thought it would be, so I suppose just entertain yourself.
I bet he loved them, though.
Oh, it's lovely.
I was partly thinking, oh, God, I better listen to this that she's made.
Yeah.
And then also treasuring it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And also, because you listen to... I've got tapes like boyfriends made me when I was like 15, and I had this boyfriend who was a singer-songwriter, and I was like, he's going to make it. He's going to make it. Surprisingly, he didn't. But on one of the tapes that he made me, he put himself singing love songs to me, and it's both romantic and tragic at the same time.
Did he make you listen to them while he was in attendance, or did he at least give you the chance to do it?
I was the manager of his band.
Hey, Yoko.
And no, it was so really funny because I went to do the Grey Horse in Kingston, which is a pub where they do comedy, but they also do live music. And the first time I went there, I must have been like 28 or something, and I looked at the manager and I was like, I really know you from somewhere. And I realised that his was the only gig that they ever got paid at. And he'd come up to me and went, "Who's the manager?" And I went, "I'm the manager." And he went, "Don't be stupid. Who's the real manager?" I went, "I'm the manager." And he paid me £25 for the band. It's not a funny story, but a true one.
It's not very much money, is it?
And in those days, in the late 90s, it
How
was
much did you get for your first gig?
£5.
Yeah?
First paid gig?
First paid gig, yeah.
£9.
Wow.
Stuart?
My teenage punk band in Wigan, we got £9 between 3 of us. So it was £3 each. And the manager, we played a set of cover versions of Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground. We'd done our set of punk rock, anarchic punk rock, overthrow the government, incendiary anthems. And the guy gave us £3 each and said, "You need a manager. I'll manage you. I could make you boys bigger than the Dooleys." You won't remember the Dooleys.
I remember.
Do you remember the Dooleys?
They were not incendiary, were they?
They were like a less hardcore version of the Nolans.
Yeah.
And we were like...
Yeah, because when you watch the Nolans, you think they need to take the edge off.
Exactly. The Dooleys were like the Nolans for people who couldn't handle the raw sexual energy of the Nolans.
How much did you get paid for your first gig?
£12,000.
And he had to have surgery.
Not your import-export business.
I was very confident that first gig, but ultimately they didn't get their money's worth. No, I think it would have been £5 or £10 probably at a push.
Now, Carl, tell me about your puffy nipples.
Yeah.
What is the puffy nipples situation?
I'm glad you brought that up, because it's actually a medical condition I've got, which it affects about 10% of teenage boys. But I'm 33, so I don't know why that happened. It's called, I got it when I was it's called puberty-induced gynecomastia. It's basically a hormone imbalance, which means I had a bit too much oestrogen when I was a teen, which probably explains why I'm now so emotionally, bad. I don't want to hit the table, right? I was trying to think of a word. I was trying to give myself a little compliment there, but I realised actually I'm a mess. No, so I've got too much estrogen in my body, and it just means I've got really fat nipples. But they change shape, like for bordering on
I mean, seasonally?
Well, I mean, my mood does affect it.
Depending on mood.
No, it's not really mood. It's actually more temperature. When it's cold, they look like normal nipples. Right now, it's under these lights, so you can see they're sort of.
They're on the way.
You can see they're sort of very.
Right.
They look like half a ping pong ball.
Ah.
Yeah, and it just means. But it means from the age of about 13 when I got diagnosed, I have had I just hate being topless anywhere. Like, apart from in bed, I don't know. In like public, I hate it.
As pronounced as half a ping pong ball.
Well, they can be if it gets very hot. but it just.
I have a hairdryer.
Yeah.
You were a very brave 13-year-old lad to go to the doctor. I mean, men hate going to...
Well, this is the thing. But
men loathe going to the doctor at
Yeah.
any age and for anything. You were a very sorted 13-year-old
No,
lad.
but I had to because I was starting to get teased in like the
All right.
showers and stuff. So I thought I'd go check it out. And the doctor was like, "Right, this will probably go away when you hit the end of puberty." And as yet, apparently, I haven't finished puberty. But actually, talking to the doctor, the worst one that ever happened, because I hate being topless so much in public. I once, and this is horrible, I went on a lad's holiday to Tenerife when I was 18, and on the last day, I'd been there for 2 weeks, hadn't been to a beach because I'd just been drunk the whole time. I thought I needed a bit of colour. I went to a water park and spent 4 hours with no sun cream on in 40-degree heat. Whole top half of my body got like 3rd-degree burns. And I was flying back the next day, and I put a T-shirt on to fly, and I was still hungover. I didn't really know how bad it was. When I got back to London, I took my top off and literally peeled. I peeled my torso off. No, that's not the worst bit.
No!
Well, that's the worst
Waitress.
bit. But that's the worst bit for other people. The worst bit for me was, so now I've realised I'm topless, and I've got basically, I peeled all the blisters off. I had to go to my doctor's in Broadway. I had to go to the doctor's topless, right? And honestly, I've never been more embarrassed than sitting in the doctor's surgery while it's just loads of old people with sniffles and I'm just topless sitting there. They're like, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "It's my leg. It's my leg." Just like pus and blood all over me.
40-degree heat, they must have been quite pronounced.
Oh, they were. Yeah. It was the most embarrassing. It was so embarrassing.
Oh, man.
Did you have to put calamine lotion on?
I got given steroid cream, and this is the doctor said to me, "You're going to get sunstroke. This is like one of the worst cases of sunburn I've seen for a while." And he said, "So what I recommend is holding up in a dark room, to put the steroid cream on, take some painkillers, and just ride it out for a few days." And I had like 4 days. It was like the start of Apocalypse Now.
Wow.
I was
With a fan going round overhead. Yeah.
just in a dark room, just throwing punches at like nothing.
To see the rest of that wonderful episode, you can watch it now on UK TV Play. You can also continue listening for a few choice stories that didn't quite make the show. So tell me about the poetry. We'll stay on here, but we'll come into the 21st century in a minute. when you read poetry,
Yeah, I started writing it for myself for a laugh in 82, 83, and then by accident someone got me on stage at a gig because they found some poems in the back of a folder. I'd done some drawing work for them, and then they said, "What's this?" I was like, "Oh, I do poems as well." And this geezer made me get up at a gig and do them, and that's the first time I ever performed in a pub in the Portobello Road in '83. And then about 2 months later, my mate nailed me the Piranhas gig, and then on the 8th of March 1984, I met and supported Billy Bragg at the University of Sussex again in the Mandela Hall. And so then that's when I kind of, I started doing it. I got 30 quid for that one.
nice.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm on a trajectory now.
But what about
slope
Paul
is
Weller?
up.
And when we...
So then I was Porky the Poet.
yeah,
That was.
it's a great name for an act.
It's a good one. It's a good act because it says it describes you and what you do. So I'd do poetry gigs in London like Apples and Snakes, Cast New Variety, where you'd have to actually audition for cast for Roland Muldoon. Did you ever do?
I did those
the
gigs. Well, the
casting?
funny thing about those gigs was that they were originally, they had funding. Cast was a theatre company, radical lefty theatre company, and they used to have funding from the GLC.
Yeah.
So they'd have a banner at the back of the stage that said GLC on it, but after GLC was disbanded by Margaret Thatcher because she was so annoyed about Ken Livingstone putting the unemployment figures on counting all across the river from the Houses of Parliament with them going up like this. They still wanted to use the banner, so they just got 2 bits of tape and put a cross through GLC.
Yeah.
So you'd stand in front of
That
it.
was
with
it.
there. But yeah, I did some of those gigs.
Yeah.
Get paid by cheque, that was unheard of.
It's amazing, wasn't it? We used to. So I do. And so the thing is, as a poet, you were a very portable, easy support act. So I remember. So Bragg did the Red Wedge gigs, and that's when I first met Weller. And I did the first ever gig with Weller and the Style Council. And the Style Council technical crew were running the Red Wedge gigs. And I was on one night at a gig, and they went, and they were very begrudging. They were very grumpy lot. They went, OK, so it's this Porky the Poet geezer's got to do his sound check. Get him out here, get him out here. And I went out, and I just went out, and I went up to the microphone, and I went, hello? Yeah, that's good. So they loved me because that was my sound check. Yeah. And
you
then,
were, what, 22 or something at this time?
I was 24, 23, 24, yeah. When I was 25 when Weller took me out on tour with the Style Council. I remember him phoning me up, and I was working at a record company called Go Discs, and they went, it's Paul Weller for you. And I went, oh, okay then. Well, hello, Paul Weller. Paul, it's Paul. We're going out on tour. Do you want to come out on tour with us as a support act? Yes, thank you very much, Paul Weller. Thank you. Yes, thank you, please. Thank you. And then he goes, all right, my dad will phone you in a minute and he'll sort out the money. And then John Weller, who's a legendary kind of this very, like one of these geezers, like sort of like Bob Hoskins, but with like, Waylon Jennings' haircut. It was like unbelievable. So the phone, I hang up on Weller Jr. and then 5 minutes later the phone rings. I go, hello. And he goes, all right, Porky, it's John Weller. And I go, hello, Mr. Weller. And he goes, right, Paul wants to take you out on this tour. How much do you want, mate? And I thought, what I'll do is I'll negotiate, like, because I was getting 50 quid supporting Bragg. 50, see? Up. Yeah. So I said, what I'll do is I'll negotiate. I went, well, you see, the thing is, John, when I was on tour with Billy, I was getting 50 quid. He goes, sounds lovely, and hangs up on me. So with Billy, I was doing these little gigs with the council. I'm doing like the Manchester Apollo and Hammersmith Odeon for 2 nights. Right. And getting 50 quid for doing like the Odeon, which is all right, fair enough, I'm on with Weller. Yeah. But I remember the last night after I did my last gig with Weller, which, bless him, he put my name up at Hammersmith Odeon. So I did get, and it was when I decided to stop being Porky the Poet because it was just getting too wearing. And so it said, so it's Hammersmith, I've got a photo at the front of Hammersmith Odeon with the Style Council, and then with so many letters, they almost run out. Plus the very last ever performance of Porky the Poet in tiny letters underneath.
Brackets £50.
And I was getting 50 necker. And after the last gig, I'm stood at the side of the stage watching the council doing their show, and Weller comes up to me and he goes, Paul likes what you're doing, son. Lovely job. And he just sticks 50 quid in my pocket like that. He goes, nice one. Walks off. But he just stuck 50 quid in my pocket. It was my bonus. Thanks for helping out. Yeah. I got a tip at the end of the tour. But yes, I'd gig with them, the House Martins, all these sort of bands in the 80s. Because the thing is, you were very... I remember when I first saw Susie and the Banshees, John Cooper Clarke opened for them. So poets gigging with bands was... Well, you must have seen loads of people. Yeah. Hovis Presley, Ted Chippington used to open for the Nightingales. There are all these weird little solo acts that bands would sort of take around with them because they were really portable, simple support acts. Yeah. And that's how I got into performing. It was with groups and things. I'd gig with the Pogues, loads of people. I once gigged with Gil Scott-Heron. I opened for Gil Scott-Heron, the kind of jazz soul dude in Liverpool, and I thought he hadn't seen me set or anything because he was backstage having quiet time. and outside I was really gutted that I didn't get to meet him. I stood outside the gig with my missus and a load of her mates. We stood outside and we watched his set, and he was amazing. And we stood outside, and then just all these massive kind of black dudes come out, and then Gil Scott-Heron's at the back of this group, and as he walks past me, he looks at me, he goes, "Hey, get on down there, Porky."
But did the crowds go for poetry and music?
I mean, some did, some didn't. It was like it was a real kind of, because the Bragg audience did. The weird thing is, I remember going to see the Jam and the Style Council in the early days, and support acts with Weller never got a look in.
I saw the Jam's farewell gig at Wembley Arena, and Big Country was supporting them. And everyone's just looking at them like this. And they got to there, they were a good, half-decent band, and they had some success, They got to the end of their set. This is our final number, and the place went, hey! Jump, 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 jump. But then when they came out, when Paul Weller came out and said, this one's called Start, and Bruce Fox started, the place went mental. I mean, I'll never forget it for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And everyone just ran down the front, and they were shaking their barriers and pulling their seats up,
Yeah.
throwing away their rip-off programmes that some bastard had flogged them out the front that weren't the real thing.
Yeah.
And everyone knew every word to every song,
Yeah.
and it was
You're not
absolutely
allowed
amazing.
to dance anymore at gigs. Because I went to see Dolly Parton at the O2, and it's a very similar feel. You were physically told to sit down during the gig. But no one had obviously told Dolly this, that you weren't allowed to stand up. So she started going, she's going, come on everybody, it's 9 to 5, you got to dance for 9 to 5. Dunk, 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 dunk. And so we're all going, but Dolly wants us to stand up. So we start to stand up, and the ushers are coming on going, sit down right now, sit down. An old woman behind me pulled at the back of my coat and rammed me down, which meant that everyone ended up watching 9 to 5 sort of like this, going, we're thinking 9 to 5, please don't hit me. It was really bizarre. You're not allowed to dance anymore.
Well, especially in that place. It's
Yeah.
massive. Were you on the floor of it?
Yeah, on the floor.
Well, that's crazy. It's
See,
not like you're going to fall out the balcony.
Yeah.
If you're going to fall out the balcony, that's different.
I think it's because everyone's paid so much money for those tickets. They're so expensive these days, these concerts.
Is that odd?
Yeah,
There's got to
yes.
be a kind of. This is not the forum for this discussion, but I'm of an age now where I remember the first time you go into a mosh pit and you think you're going to die, and you realise you're too old for this game.
Yeah. Well, I used to be into quite heavy music, and I used to go into mosh pits that I thought were hard. And then weirdly, I remember the first time I went to see the Pogues when they were formed. Yeah. And you think you've been in a mosh pit with a bunch of 20-year-olds going crazy, till you've been in a mosh pit with loads of 50-year-old pissed Irishmen.
Yeah.
It's a different world.
Yeah. Some of them genuinely don't come out alive.
And they've also they've just got nothing to lose. And all bets are
I
off.
think this will be as good a way to go as any.
Yeah. Seamus, my arm is tingling.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah, that is alarming when older people go past,
it's
isn't it?
amazing.
I went to see Madness in Finsbury Park. We got quite a nice spot on the grass, and there's a few quite good support acts. I think the Blockheads were on.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
remember. Anyway, and then it got dark, and Madness were due to come on, and suddenly all these old mods from the 80s started trampling over everyone's picnic blankets, shoving people to one side, and started doing all this. You couldn't see anything. So.
Yeah. No, I've seen quite... When you go and see those bands who were huge in the 80s and they've started doing it again, I remember going to see Joe Strummer and the Mescaleros at Shepherd's Bush Empire, and he couldn't play two fast songs back to back because the audience couldn't keep up with it. So he couldn't play White Riot Straight Into London Calling because they're just like, no! So he'd have to play White Riot and then Armageddon Time. So he could just... Oh, that's why they like reggae, these old people. So they just get a chance to go, right, this one. For Christ's
I saw
sake.
Devo at Shepherd's Bush Empire.
Yeah. Ah.
And I took Katie, my wife, and she's 12 years younger than me. She didn't know about Devo. I said, it'll be good, don't worry. Trust me. I love Devo. And people are wearing flower pots on their heads, Devo used to wear silly things. And I said, wouldn't it be funny if he come out on a Zimmer frame? And he did. Come out with a Zimmer frame like this. He's going, what's going on? And they all came on and they picked it up and went, hey! And threw it in the wing and they started doing nothing.
My mum went to see Jerry Lee Lewis, and I said, oh, how was it? And she said, well, it was very good, except at the end, when someone had to come on, help him put his foot onto the piano.
Oh,
Oh, no, foot roadie.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Bobby, come and lift my foot, boy. I'm coming, killer.